Hi everybody and welcome back to Chauvet DJ Academy. I'm Jeff Short. In this lesson, we're going to talk a little bit more about the basics of DMX and programming your fixtures using DMX Control. DMX can give you amazing control of all aspects of your LED fixtures. The first step is to correctly address your fixtures. So let's talk about DMX addressing. DMX addressing is the process of assigning a unique number, an address, to each fixture you want to control. This tells the controller, whether it's a hardware or software controller, what light it should be controlling. Of course, you can control just one or many different fixtures with the same controller. The number of fixtures you can control depends on the particular controller you're using. The DMX addressing happens on the lights themselves, either through an LED menu or through dip switches. So, how do you know what those numbers are? The DMX addresses correspond to the number of channels of your particular fixtures. Starting off is easy because you always start with your first fixture, and on the menu of that fixture, you assign a DMX address of 1. That's easy. So the next fixture should be 2, right? Not so fast. Here's where things get a little tricky. The next DMX address has to be the number after the total number of channels that your first fixture has. So, if your first fixture is a 12-channel light, you have to reserve a DMX spot for all 12 of those channels. So your second fixture would have a starting address of 13. Now, this tells the controller that channels 1 through 12 are for fixture number 1, and channels 13 through however many channels your second fixture has are for that light. You can continue this way for as many fixtures as your controller can handle, based on its channel capacity, all the way up to channel 512. Remember, that's the total number of DMX channels in a DMX universe. Lights with dip switches, as opposed to LED menus on them, work exactly the same way, except instead of entering a number on a digital display, you have to configure the dip switches for the correct starting DMX address. This used to involve a rather complicated formula based on binary code. Now, thankfully, there are smartphone apps that can calculate the configuration your dip switches should be in to represent the correct DMX address. Once you have your lights properly addressed, the next really useful piece of information is what each channel of each light actually does. For instance, on a moving headlight, channel 1 might control pan, channel 2 might control tilt, channel 3 might control the color wheel, and so forth. But there are so many different parameters of control available, it would be nearly impossible to remember them all. This is where DMX tables come in. DMX tables are a layout in graphical form of what every channel does, as well as what every value of every channel does. Every manual for a DMX LED light should include the DMX table for that light. And I always recommend making digital copies of the tables and storing them on your various portable devices so you'll always have them at your disposal. Of course, it's never a bad idea to have hard copies with you as well. As I mentioned, DMX controllers can either be hardware-based units or software-based. While the configurations and features can be different, the basic concept is the same. Hardware controllers are frequently more limited in terms of the number of fixtures they can control based on the number of channels they can handle. It can also be a bit more of a challenge to enter exact channel values with just manual faders that most hardware controllers have. Software solutions like Chauvet's Show Express are extremely versatile and powerful DMX controllers. The on-screen graphical interfaces of software controllers make it easy to address fixtures, set values, mix colors, and program scenes. They also usually have the ability to control many more fixtures than hardware controllers. Many of them are capable of controlling multiple DMX universes of 512 channels each. For the sake of our purposes here today for this lesson, a great place to start in terms of programming some simple DMX control is with a hardware-based controller like this Chauvet Obey 70. We're going to connect it to an easy PAR 56, and you'll see just how easy it is to get started with DMX control. With a hardware controller like this Chauvet Obey 70, the principles of DMX programming are exactly the same. essentially, we start by connecting our DMX cable, which is different than an audio cable. Connect the out there. And of course, the other end into the fixture itself. In this case, it's an Easy Par 64 into the DMX in jack, as you can see there. And then we're just going to select the fixture here on the controller. In this case, it's the first fixture. We only have one. And we're just going to set the DMX channel here to 1 since we only have one fixture. As you can see there, we're getting the blinking DMX indicator telling us the fixture is getting a DMX signal, and the address is set to 1. Now, we should be able to start to control some color mixing. This is an RGBA fixture, so we have red, green, blue, and amber. And of course, these colors can be mixed in different configurations. So red and blue might make a nice purple color. And of course, mixing all the colors at even levels gives you something close to white. And of course, a hardware controller like this will allow you to program different scenes and chases and effects, and they're all accessible at the press of a button. So a hardware controller like the Chauvet 70 is a good way to start in your DMX journey because it's very easy to control, and you can see you can have the manual control at your fingertips of the faders. And so it's always a nice option in terms of DMX control. So it's that easy. Now you're off and running in terms of controlling your light fixtures with DMX control. We'll get into the software-based controllers in later lessons. But for now, good luck on your quiz, and we'll see you right back here in Chauvet DJ Academy.